I used to think that my opinion was facts. Just because it was mine, I believed it, so it is written forevermore. So embarrassing to admit right now. I won't even lie. I feel the blush because it's a really silly thing to think, but there are a lot of people out there that genuinely believe that their opinions are facts. So today, Jay and I are going to have a conversation about these fools. I mean, these lovely, wonderful people. So Jay, can you please explain the difference between opinion and fact?
Well, can you?
Do I know the difference? Well, yeah. I think a fact is something that is undisputable. Like, it can't change, right? If it's a fact and it's true, it can't change. Where an opinion is not necessarily true and can change.
Yeah, that seems pretty decent. I mean, it depends on your definition of change. Can't the facts of a situation change?
You can add to the facts, but the facts don't actually change. Where I hated Trump and I would never have thought that he was any good for anything ever in any way, shape, or form. But now my opinion has changed that he's a valuable marketer and he's really great at attention and he's great at rhetoric, even if he's not a great person. So this is an opinion that has changed. If I say, what goes up must come down, that cannot change. Every time you throw something up, it's coming down. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's not too bad. I think the dictionary definitions are similar but different. They'll say that facts are objective and opinions are subjective, and facts are verifiable and opinions are unverifiable, and facts are conclusive and opinions are inconclusive, and these kind of things, right? These differences. For me, I generally just think about it that one is logic-based and the other is feelings-based.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So if you're communicating something that is logical and reasonable and sound with a sound premise and a fact-based, data-based, empirically testable, objective truth or reality or something like that, we're probably talking about a fact.
Right.
If you're communicating something that's how you feel in your personal experience and subjective to you, and it might be different in a different culture and different time and different context or circumstances, and we can't really use logic to do anything with it. Like, it's completely outside logic and just irrational, and it's mainly coming from someone's assumptions or emotions or random whatever thoughts they happen to have. We're probably talking about an opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And to me, they both have their place in the world and they both hold value. But like just about anything in life, if you confuse one for the other, you're probably in for a pretty rough time and you're likely going to hurt people around you as well.
Agreed.
So if you go to a party and you confuse chicken for pork, you might upset a lot of people with sensitive diets, Middle Eastern religions or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or if you're making yourself a smoothie and you confuse tuna for ice cream, you might be in for a really unpleasant smoothie.
Yeah. Ew.
And those are just mild mix-ups.
True.
If you have major mix-ups, like you think that a power outlet is turned off when it's actually on, and then you go fiddling around with it, stick a fork in it or a screwdriver or something, you're trying to repair it, but the power's still on, that mix-up's life or death sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
So my point is, although I don't judge opinions or facts too harshly, I know they both have a place in the world. It is confusing one for the other. That is just pain for everybody involved.
Agreed. When you think that your opinions are facts, this colors so many things in the world. And you can generally, like, now I've started to notice people who do this, who think their opinions are facts. They tend to start the sentence with, I feel blah, blah, blah. I feel this. I feel that.
Or they jump right to labels.
Yes, that too.
Right. They're leaning pretty hard on judgment a lot of the time. With facts, you don't really get judgment so much. It's not like, I judge this to be good and I judge this to be bad and this person's good and this person's bad. It's more just data. Like, reality is reality. Facts are facts. This is the situation. You can hear that there's no judgment in that.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. So most often, all the judginess comes in the opinion realm.
Yeah.
And the non-judgment comes in the realm of facts and reality and truth.
Yeah. Mostly that's true. Yes. All right.
So can you see how it's helpful and important to understand the difference between a fact and an opinion, and why it's worth defining them, and why it's worth recognizing them, and why it's worth being able to express or articulate the difference between one and the other?
Yes.
Because
it's going to cause a lot of confusion if you don't know what you're saying is a fact or an opinion.
it can be life or death.
Right. It can be life or death. And that's why on here, when it's just an opinion, I'm very clear. I know it's your opinion. I know we can't know. I just want to know what you think, because I want to be very clear with people. So I don't think the things we talk about necessarily could be life or death, but they very well could be.
They absolutely can be.
And so I want to make sure that people are clear about what we're doing.
Yeah, and many people on the planet are just the walking dead anyways, right? They're practically zombies, living zombie lives, and they're going to spend the next 5-10 decades going through the motions and doing the same thing. And so it's kind of life or death for them anyways.
Fair play. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And to me, it started like when I first saw the topic, I thought it was like a kind of a fluff topic, like a joke with like how the left like is so adamant on that their opinions are facts. But as I started to like read and research and think about this topic, I realized this is more important than I had first thought, because of what you just said. It's life or death for some people. And there's so many people out in this world, people I love even, that are walking around clueless that their opinions are not factual.
Yeah, and this is because most parents and society teach that opinion is fact, or they act as if their opinion is fact, and all of their assumptions are facts. And, what are children going to learn if they're surrounded by people who live and breathe that?
They're going to keep doing it, do the same thing.
Right. Unless you were fortunate enough to be born into a family where both parents know the difference between opinions and facts, and both parents clarify that in all situations and emphasize that and quiz their kids on it and test them on it and call them out when they get it wrong and that kind of thing. Right. So I feel like I was fortunate enough to be born into something like that. Maybe my parents weren't perfect at it, but they definitely emphasized truth over falsehood and fact over fiction or opinion. And even though they were both devout Christians who just believed in something they couldn't see and had a lot of faith that wasn't fact-based, in day-to-day life, they did their best to emphasize this kind of behavior. Plus, they placed me into the gifted program and tested me for a high IQ, which even pushed me more towards logic and rationality and seeking data and facts and assessing reality correctly without opinion as much as possible.
What a blessing, because for me, it was the opposite. I was told most of my life that opinions were facts, not in those words, but by demonstration, right? And so even to this day, I love her very, very much. Well, my mother is very much, my opinion is right and yours is wrong, and this is the way the world works, and this is how it goes, with not a lot of bend to that. So when we met, and I'm meeting this person who's calling me out every time I state my opinion like a fact. In the beginning, it was annoying, but I'm so glad that you did it, because it is life or death. It was life or death for me, because if I had continued that way, I would be a much different person than I am now today. And I would not be able to help anyone, and I would have gone worse and worse and worse. And you saved me from that by being tough lovey. I was looking for the right word. Yeah, you had some tough love with me, and I needed it, and I'm so grateful for it. And this topic was one of the things that you were a little bit tough with me on.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you bring that up, because a lot of the reason people avoid facts is because to them, the cold, hard facts of reality and the universe and nature feel mean, harsh, cruel, and unloving.
Yes.
But they're not.
Nope.
The cold, hard facts of reality and the universe are just the facts of reality and the universe. You don't have to label them cold or hard. They just are.
Yeah.
And there's nothing unloving about them. A lion will devour a gazelle. This is a fact.
Yeah.
It's not unloving of the lion. It's not unloving towards the gazelle.
True.
A person will step on ants by accident or inhale a mosquito in their sleep or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
These are uncomfortable things for people, but they're just facts. It's just reality. It's just how life and nature work. It's nothing unloving. It's not yucky. There are tons of animals on the planet and tons of insects on the planet, and we're all going to accidentally eat or consume or stomp on or something, one of them at some point.
Right.
Just nature. The mosquito shouldn't be there. Like, don't fly there.
Right.
But for some reason, people find the facts and data of reality and the truth in front of them to be unpleasant, unappealing, unenticing, cold, mean, harsh, cruel, unloving.
And scary,
frightening, uncertain, and they find their opinions to be warm and comforting. Oh, this feels good to think about and believe and say and speak, and haha, now I'm right and the world is safe again.
Well, that's another level to it of I'm right. That feeling of I'm right. My opinions are facts and I'm right. That adds to staying in your comfort zone of my opinions are correct.
Right, but the only time you're actually right is when you are aligned with the facts. If the electricity is turned on in the house and I say, careful with that socket, the electricity is on, and the other person says, no, I'm right, it's off, and they go ahead and do their thing, it's like, great, you dismissed my point and you called me wrong and now you feel righteous and justified, but in about 5 minutes, you're going to be electrocuted and you weren't right. So I'm right, first of all, is not even a healthy way to approach life, and it is a weird egocentric thing that doesn't understand the interconnectedness of the universe. But second of all, if you really must be right, I would hope you are far more open to facts and seeking facts than you are opinion, because opinions can be wrong all the time. Even when you say they're right or they feel right, they're still wrong all the time. Like, it's super common. You might land on the right opinion one day, maybe, but most of the time, opinions are just wrong. Like, the chance of being wrong when you're sharing an opinion is massive, huge. Someone gives you a sidelong glance on the street and your opinion is they didn't like you and they were shooting daggers at you or whatever. That's an opinion. And it might be right, but there are about 100 other reasons that could have happened. Like, that person could have some kind of eye issue. They could be coming from the doctor. They could be allergic to something and having a reaction. They could have saw something from the corner of their eye. They could be scared of animals or insects or construction or flinch from a noise. They could be thinking about something and our eyes wander when we think. They could be trying to compliment you or like appreciate your form while looking sideways. They could be looking at someone beside you or behind you or someone you didn't notice or someone up in the street or in a window. Like, there's just hundreds of reasons you could be wrong and like some tiny chance that your opinion on this is correct.
That's a clip right there. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly why you can't say negative things around Jay Rise. Right there, exactly what you just said. The minute I say, dude's giving me dirty looks, Jay comes out with, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. And it's life changing because now I do it all the time. And I no longer make assumptions that my opinion is correct. And that's a wonderful way. This is a wonderful way of asking yourself, is my opinion, is this a fact or an opinion, right? That example was a beautiful, perfect example. Thank you so much for mentioning it. Because if you're in a situation and someone's giving you a dirty look, or you think they're mad at you. This is a big thing among people. Even I fall for it sometimes and have to say, are you mad at me? But not that much anymore because now I know how to question. Okay, well, what's the situation? Do I know what's happening in this person's life? Do I even know this person? Are there other people around me? Like, maybe I have something on my face. Maybe they like me. Maybe they hate me. Maybe the variables could be anything. Maybe they got a text from their mother who's like dying or something. I don't know. It could be anything. But I used to think, oh, that person's giving me a dirty look. Oh, they hate me and screw them. Immediately going for the negative, first of all, that's a whole nother episode we have. But just assuming that your first opinion in your mind is correct, especially when it's a judgy one. This is like the way to stop doing this. This is, yeah. So thank you so much for mentioning that. And also I want to mention that whole clip, that just minute of you talking and all that stuff should show you, if you're listening and watching, how this man can help you change and be better. He's not even trying and he's giving you epic advice. I hope that you are smart enough. I know you are because you're our audience, but to take that information and learn and apply it to many other areas of your life. Okay, I'm done. Soapbox. I was so excited.
Yeah, I'm glad that helped. I was mainly aiming to make the point that if someone really does care about being right, opinion has very little place there.
Right.
Someone who really cares about being right is the one most seeking the facts and most seeking the data and most open to reality, because they want to align what they speak out loud to others and communicate to others with the facts so they can be right. As in, what I just said is correct, factually correct, and it is right. It is the truth. So
then, go ahead.
So if people are like, my opinion goes and what I say is right and it's my way or the highway and I don't care about facts, you can almost guarantee they're going to be wrong most of the time. And every time they say they're right, they're probably not.
Right. Well, I just want to be clear. It sounds like you're saying there's two ways of being right. There's a way of being correct with the correct data and like facts. And then there's the I'm right, like I think I'm right, but I'm not really right. I just pretend that I'm always right.
Yeah, but that's only one way of being right. That's one way of pretending you're right and one way of actually being right.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, you are correct with the facts, sir. Fair enough.
And when we were kids, all of us questioned all the time. We would ask questions all the time because as kids, we're seeking facts and data to learn and grow and to navigate the world. We don't want to be confused about the world. We want to understand the world and align ourselves with how it works and the facts.
True.
But as time goes on, we question less and less and assume and opine more and more. So most people replace all of their questioning with assumptions and opinions. But if you'll notice when we talk on these podcasts, I ask a lot of questions.
You do?
And I do my best to avoid assumptions and opinions.
Yeah, I'm usually the one with assumptions and opinions, and you're the one not. So, yeah.
Sure. And awesome. If I do have one, I try to label it as an opinion so that people know this is just my opinion and not facts.
Right.
Or this is my theory, or this is as far as I've understood, or this is how it seems to be, or something like that in my language. I'm not free of opinions or free of assumptions, but I lean heavily towards facts and truth, and I lean heavily towards questions like we all used to do as children. I highly recommend it.
You're really good at that, actually asking questions. And if you're a regular listener or watcher, you'll know that I'll ask a question and 8 out of 10 times you will ask me a question back without giving me an answer. And you guys, he does this like in our personal life too, like in business stuff. I ask a question and he asks one back because it's a way for me to think and not just assume and take it as an opinion. So I love it. Yeah. You are the best.
Thank you. And questions were always a powerful way to get at the truth and to end up being right or whatever. They were a great way to figure out reality. We all use them as kids. So it's a superpower that I wouldn't want to abandon if I were you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's great. And it actually, questions, this is just a side thing, but questions are so really great and wonderful and helpful in relationships when you're having conversation with people, especially when they're asking you for your opinions or they're struggling with something. Asking them a question and making them think is super, super, super helpful. So you do it with me all the time and you do it with our audience. So thank you.
My pleasure. This gets a little deeper though, because like so many things that people consider facts turn out not to be facts.
That's a fact. I love you.
You canceling the episode.
But that's your opinion.
You're very witty.
Okay. So I know you weren't done with that. I interrupted. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying many, many, many things that people have considered facts in the past turn out not to be facts. They were just opinions.
Yeah.
So now you're extra screwed.
Yeah. Okay. Can you give me an example, please, so that I can make sure that I really understand this?
Sure. Scientists, like the world's smartest minds in the medieval ages, declared the earth to be flat as a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if anyone tried to argue with this, the brightest minds on the planet would hate on them.
Yeah, it's true.
And they would say, your opinion is that the earth is round? No, the fact is, sir, it is flat. We're talking about facts because we're the brightest minds on the earth. And do you have some opinion that the earth is round?
Right. Yeah.
They'd be ostracized from the tribe.
True.
Oh, but turns out their fact of a flat earth was wrong the whole time. It was just their opinion that they swore was fact. So they were self-righteous and They were pretty mean to anyone who had a different opinion. And turns out all those bright minds who thought the earth was flat had their mind blown when Columbus didn't sail off the edge of it or whatever.
True.
So another example, I forget the exact era for this, but the government invested tons of money and scientists invested tons of time to create man-made flight. And after they all failed for ridiculous amounts of time and investment, they concluded, as a fact, gravity is unbeatable. Man-made flight will never happen. And when the Wright brothers stepped up to try and do it, they got hated on. They were laughingstocks.
They were, yeah.
And people would say, these two have the crazy notion, the crazy opinion that they can fly, when we all know the fact is you can't fly. The scientists, the government, the brightest minds on the planet are swearing up and down. It is a fact. You cannot defy gravity. No one can fly ever. You will never get something off the ground. Man-made flight is impossible. Man was never meant to fly. Turns out their facts and their self-righteousness was wrong again. And it was just an opinion that they were claiming to be facts. Look how often science-based facts turn out to be wrong. COVID, they're swearing up and down the vaccine, this, COVID's going to do that, this many people are going to die, the world's going to end. It's a fact. You have to use it. Now you look back on it and it's like, were all those really facts?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. Is this another man-made flight situation? Is this another flat earth situation? Is everything these guys are saying actually facts? And, 100 years from now, when we're all laughing at disease and we can cure it with our minds, or science has advanced super far, we're all half robots and bionics or whatever, are we going to have a totally different opinion of COVID back then? Is it going to be the flat earth? Is it going to be the man can't fly situation? 100 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, man, can you believe what those guys thought about COVID? They swore it was a fact. Like, I don't know. Who knows?
Okay, so then are you saying that some facts can change and maybe they're not always correct? Because science, like, someone who, I'm a little bit intimidated by science, right? I'm not, when it starts talking about that, I get nervous because I don't really understand. I'm not really into it. So for me, I've always taken like the things that science says as facts, right? I believe what they say. Not always, not everything. I'm not an idiot, but for the most part, I believed my doctors for many, many years that there was something wrong with me and I couldn't control my body and my arthritis and all this stuff, right? Now I understand that those were their opinions. That was not facts because I proved them all wrong. I fixed those things. I changed those things with your help, right? So then how do we know when something like that coming from someone smart, educated, who has done research and has facts, how do we know like what to believe?
That's my point, is that there's almost a third level. There's opinions, which are almost a joke for navigating life. Then there's facts, which are kind of just more reliable opinions that might change in 100 years.
Okay.
And then there are universal truths, like maybe gravity is a universal truth. Okay. For thousands and thousands and thousands of years, planetary bodies have been subject to gravity and have their own gravity. And this looks like an unchanging universal truth, not something that will be disproven in 100 years and turns out that we were wrong. But even that is a bit tricky to sort out, because on a long enough timeline, maybe gravity is proven wrong. Maybe we get space travel and we go to different galaxies and the different galaxies don't have gravity at all, or different dimensions or something. And we look back and we're like, those guys believed gravity was unchangeable. They thought it was a fact. Their brightest minds thought that gravity was unmanipulatable, unchangeable, and it was present everywhere. Unbelievable, right? So then gravity is not even a universal truth. Now gravity is one of those facts that a scientist got wrong. So this is why Socrates says, the only thing I know is that I know nothing, right? This is why he was considered a wise man, because he made sure that not only did he just trust random assumptions and opinions, he didn't even trust 100-year-long facts or 1,000-year-long facts or universal truths, because there was always that minute chance that maybe this is going to be proven wrong someday.
Right. Okay.
So it gets a bit crazy and metaphysical and philosophical. Like, how am I supposed to navigate life if I can't rely on opinions and I can't rely on facts and I'm not even sure what a universal truth is?
Yeah, so I feel like that a little bit right now, to be honest.
Sure. That's a natural way to feel when you take a look at the situation and you're like,
Now what?
there doesn't really seem anything that's too reliable.
Yeah.
Like Tom Bilyeu talks about physics and truths and laws. And for him, the more that something allows you to predict results, outcomes, behaviors, and life, the more true it is. So gravity would be much truer than flat Earth, because flat Earth didn't allow people to predict life very well. They didn't get to predict flying around the globe. They didn't get to predict the planets in orbit, spheres circling each other and stuff, because they thought it was a flat disk.
Right.
And so they were unable to predict very much with this model, and it got disproved, and it got replaced by a more true model of spheres and so on. Although this is debatable, now people are arguing that round Earth is an opinion and flat Earth is actually a fact. I don't know how this came back. But regardless, that aside, it's like there's levels of truth, or a spectrum of truth. And so Tom would say that gravity is one of the most true things, because it's lasted the longest and it hasn't been disproven, and it is most predictable and it is most reliable, and therefore it is the most true. And so he might be like Socrates, and he allows that it might not be the truth, and it might not be the truest, and it might get replaced or disproven later on, but it allows the most people on the globe to predict the most behaviors and navigate life the most reliably, and so it is the most true.
Right.
Whereas an opinion can't predict shit and is probably wrong about everything and changes every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And it might randomly, hopefully, maybe be right one day, one time for a split second. But generally, most opinions are unreliable, and they're poor predictors of behavior, and they're poor predictors of reality. And so they're the least true, or maybe they're almost the least true. And like an outright lie is the least true. Like if you just say gravity doesn't exist, and that's a fact.
Right.
Like maybe this is the least true thing we have, and gravity is a universal law is the most true thing we have.
For now.
Sure. But you see on the spectrum, you could put like outright lies and opinions and facts and universal laws, or physics laws, and then universal laws and this kind of things on a scale of truth, depending on how true they are and how reliable they are and how well they allow you to navigate and predict life.
Right.
And so this is what Tom talks about all the time. The most true things are the most predictive things. If it's predictive, if it's highly predictive, it's highly true. This is this
I've
thing.
seen him say that. Yes.
Yeah, and it's pretty smart. Like it's a good way to look at things. Like Tom's a smart guy, and a pretty philosophical guy, a metaphysical guy, and he thinks deep about these things. And he's always willing to change his mind or change his beliefs if new information comes around. And so he'll believe something is true because it's high on the predictive scale and it's good for navigating life. But if someday someone turns around and disproves gravity, he's going to be on the front lines changing his mind too, because he knows that even the most impressive facts could be disproven anytime. And so you have to be careful calling them facts and calling them truth and acting like you're right.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And so then one of the things I struggled with before we met was if I was presented with an opinion or a fact, like a fact that argued against my opinion, I had a hard time letting go of my opinion, right? So the being right was more important than the fact, right? And I see this a lot when I don't spend a lot of time on there anymore, but when I did spend time looking at political content, there's a lot of this on the left, right? That my facts are correct. I say I'm a woman, so I'm a woman, and that's a fact. Like, and that's just an example I'm using for the episode to get my point across. There's more of it, and it goes deeper. But the point is that they very much, when they're presented with the facts, with an actual fact, they still lean super hard on the opinion, right? And so you're saying that with data, like facts that we see as facts, that they're the most, what's the word that you used, that Tom used? Predictive, right? That these things could change. And you said his opinion would change too, with given the new fact or whatever. And I believe, sure. I know yours would too, because I've seen you change like this, and I love that. But there are a lot of people out there that will struggle with this, where I want my opinion to be right? And so you can present them all the data, the facts that you want, but they will hold on desperately for their opinion to be a fact. Is this, well, super, I know it's unhealthy, but why? Like, why if you're presented with the facts in your face, the data, that you would still hold on to something so desperately that you know is wrong?
It's just priorities. Do you care more about feeling comfortable inside and living in your comfort zone and having your own little safe reality where you understand everything perfectly? Or do you prioritize going out into the wild unknown, exploring new ideas, exploring new things, and learning how to truly navigate life? Do you care about finding deeply reliable truths? Do you care about aligning your thoughts and mind and heart and soul and behavior with the nature of reality? Or do you care about living in some cocooned fantasy world bubble where you're always right and no one can present data otherwise? It's priorities.
Okay. Priorities.
If you talk to me or Tom or Socrates, we'll prioritize finding the truth and going out into the unknown and discovering what's what and assessing reality and seeing the data and learning the laws and learning the truths. And we don't care if we're wrong 1,000 times to do it. We're ready to change our minds because we prioritize truth and we prioritize navigating life well.
I love that.
But some people just prioritize comfort zones.
Yes.
They prioritize their lizard brain, like feeling safe. Exploration and adventure and seeking the truth is never safe. Only the risky people find that. Columbus sailed across the thing to find out the truth for himself.
True.
People explore space. They might die, but they want to find out for themselves. They don't want to just make assumptions. They don't want to just live in some comfortable bubble. Everyone's arguing. They're debating what's out there. They go to space and find out for themselves.
Yeah, they want to see it with their own eyes.
Sure. They ask questions and they go on adventures and they explore. Seeking the truth and navigating life well is the realm and the domain of the bold and the experimental and the adventurous and the people who leave their comfort zones mentally, emotionally, physically, ideologically to explore the real truth of what's out there and find if their ideas hold up. And they want to dismantle any of their assumptions. That's their priority. They wake up and aim to be better and get out there and get into their comfort zones and find the truth that helps them navigate life better and more predictably and more reliably so that they become masters of reality and masters of life. And they know what's up to a high degree. And they also know that it could be disproven tomorrow by some new scientist or something, because that's how it always goes. So they're very careful with facts and opinions. But other people just want to wake up, eat their Cheerios, live in their comfort zone, and they don't care about navigating life well. They're fine with a miserable life. They're happy with a miserable life. They don't care if they know the truth. They don't care if they know anything. They love ignorance.
Well, that was me for a long time. I was okay with being ignorant. I was okay with, as long as I was right and I was in my comfort zone, that's all that mattered. And so when we met and like, oh, the universe really slapped me in the face with a lot of truth, a lot of harsh truth, a lot of truth that was told to me in a way that no one had ever told me before, not in cruel ways, not in mean ways, in loving ways, in honest ways, in fact-driven ways. And it was truly life-changing. And this is why I always tell people you're life-changing. Like any of this episode, any of the other episodes, I could randomly pick a time, a clip from any of them, and you will see what I mean. You're super helpful. And this is amazing. Like, I genuinely thought we were going one way again, thought we were going to zig and we zag. I love it. You're the best, really. It went more deeper and more philosophical than I expected. And I really do agree with everything you're saying. You are so helpful and you make me think a lot.
Thank you. And the philosophical side is really just to be practical. Like, the only reason I dived into it is because it relates directly to navigating life well.
Yeah, I love it.
If you find the most predictable, reliable things in the universe, then you can build a great foundation and a great life. But if you're relying on random opinions of people, poor advisors and agended people and random flat earthers and people who believe this about that and COVID and health and whatever, then you can't reliably navigate life at all. And you're going to end up confused and lost and struggling and pain, and you won't know how to make money or how to fix your health or how to do any of these things, because the great powerful facts and truths that are out there that could help you predictably, reliably navigate life and create the life you want are outside your comfort zone, and you're trapped in your comfort zone, and they're going to elude you forever. And even now, Wim Hof is proving so many scientists wrong. Like, they have to change all the textbooks and history books about what's possible for the human body and possible for cells, especially because it's not just one freak accident doing it. He taught tons of other people to do it.
Yep.
And it's like, they brought him countless challenges and he's just like, whatever, dude, these challenges are meaningless. The human body can do just about anything. It's time for you to wake up. And he doesn't do it with spirituality or woo-woo shit. He's just like, yo, just practice your breathing, practice your cold therapy. Any human can do any of this stuff, and you're going to tap into your power and accomplish incredible things. It's like all these people who are suffering need to find Wim Hof's truth, right? He has a more reliable, predictive way of healing diseases than testing a bunch of random medicines.
And he doesn't even know, but the ice baths and the breathing also help with skin and youthful rejuvenation. I've been doing it for the last week and my skin is like...
Yeah, I'm not surprised. The point is, whether we're talking about flat earth or man can't fly or the human body can't heal and we need a million medical drugs, these things always get proven wrong eventually. It takes 100 years or 200 years for someone to come along and disprove them. And then all the facts go out the window and all the people who swore that those were facts feel sheepish and or they deny it till their dying day.
Right.
But eventually humanity just recognizes the truth and is like, well, this is a better way to live, a more reliable way to navigate life. And so we all just sort of believe like, okay, we get it. The earth is round and man can fly and Wim Hof healing methods are available and so be it. You know, now anyone who's open to those things can navigate life better. The people who believe man can't fly are never visiting Australia. True. They're never going to have a giant global business. But the people who do get it and let go of the man can't fly thing can navigate life better and create a better life. The more you're aligned on the scale of truth with truthiness or predictability or reliability, the better you can navigate life. It's a very practical thing. And same in business. If you don't look at the data and see how many customers like it and how many don't and who responds and how many views you get, like if you're in the dark about this or refuse to see the data, then you just can't navigate life. Like, how are you going to make your stuff better, make your content better? If a chef serves a meal to the diners and 9 out of 10 diners make a yucky face and they're like, they don't like it and one eats it, like, how are you going to make a better meal? You either got to learn like to find more of those people who love that meal. Like, oh, what about them? Why do they like it? Or you need to learn how to make it better for the 9, but you can't do it by saying, well, I'm the best chef in the world and I'm right and they're wrong. And that's my opinion. And that's a fact. And so be it. Like, you need to put your ego aside and your self-righteousness aside and your opinionation aside and your assumptions aside and face the facts, or as much of the facts as you can get, right? Get as much of the truth as you can, because that's what lets you navigate life fulfillingly. And the people who stay in the dark and avoid truth and cling to their opinion and assumption, they're the ones who struggle. So this is a practical thing about fulfillment versus struggle. And if you want fulfillment, you should pay attention to everything I'm saying. And if you want struggle, then just be like everybody else and cling to your opinion and make assumptions. And there you go. Good luck navigating life.
In the last, I guess, 45 minutes, 50 minutes that we've been talking, you've like thrown out fire clips so many times that I couldn't even interrupt to say it.
Thank you.
No, I thank you. You are amazing. And this is really helpful. I keep saying it because just listening to you talk your truth about this is really eye-opening and it's enlightening. And I honestly hadn't thought about any of this in any way. My questions were way more fluffier than any of this. And this is so much better. This gets deeper into the heart of where I want to be. This is where we always have these kinds of conversations. And so to me, this is really helpful for me. And now also, I think taking facts from scientists and from smart people and educated people, I will, going forward, be taking it with a little grain of salt and remembering that any of those facts could change at any time, and it's okay. And just like you, I am open to changing my opinions immediately. I've changed millions of opinions on this podcast in front of people, in private with you, instantly, because I'm very open to change and I trust my intuition and my gut feelings. And I think that trusting those things also is a really good way to to know what you think, if it's an opinion or a fact, right? And so really, but you have to have practice with it. You can't just be like a hateful person one day and wake up and go, oh, I know that my opinion is a fact because I feel it, when you have no idea what your gut feeling really is. So
Yeah, absolutely. Your intuition, when it's practiced well, will guide you towards the most truthiest things.
oh yes.
So it will guide you away from opinions and towards facts. And if your fact is not helping anymore, like man can't fly, then your intuition will guide you towards man can fly.
Right.
Like your intuition is smart and helpful and reliable and wise and brilliant and all of these things, but only if it's practiced. It's like a muscle. And so our muscles can do a ton of work. Our muscle can lift cars and build houses and do all kinds of incredible things on the planet, when not if they're atrophy, not if they're like laying around doing nothing, not if they're unused and uncared for. And the same goes for intuition. And just as opinions are mostly pretending to be right, you can pretend to use your intuition too. You can pretend that your intuition is guiding you. Oh, well, my intuition told me this, or my intuition told me that. Like, okay, but I think deep down, you're just pretending. Like, you don't practice at home your intuition. You have no proof that your intuition is solid. You wouldn't be up for an intuition challenge. Like, you're just someone who hates people and has opinions and makes assumptions and then blames your intuition.
Bro, I've known people like that actually in the past. Interesting.
Most people's intuition, if they're at all tuned to it, will light up when they hear what I'm saying, because I speak a lot of truths and I speak it clearly and I speak it in a language most people can understand. And I'm not perfect at it, but the kernel of truth in what I'm saying is likely to resonate and to call and to speak to most people's intuition if they're in a place to hear it, if they're ready and able, and their intuition is at least reasonably practiced. And so whether what I'm saying is an opinion or a fact or universal truth doesn't really matter. It's just, does your intuition guide you towards it because it's full of truthiness? It's got a high level of truthiness, or does your intuition guide you away from it?
That's a good question. This is how we know. Right.
And do you know the difference between your intuition and your intellect? Because your mind will say a million things.
Yes.
What does your intuition say?
Yes.
Your intuition usually says one thing: go towards or go away. Seek more of this or seek less of this.
Your intuition is like the person who doesn't give too much information. They just kind of nod at you or like guide you or push you. I've learned myself that when it's a lot of detailed and a lot of chatter, that this is my brain overthinking and being ridiculous. When it's just I know what to do. That's it. That's my intuition guiding me and pushing me. So hopefully that helps for anybody who's unsure. Because thanks. Yeah, your truth isn't going to argue with you. Those opinions are what argue with you. Well, this was an intense and incredible, amazing conversation. You really were super helpful for everyone. As usual, thank you so much for your time, for your thoughts, for your opinions. See what I did there? And for giving us straight up facts about facts versus opinions. So I just have one last question. Do you have any final thoughts? Oh, and before I ask that question, again, I want to praise you because you come here with no notes. You know kind of the topic. And this is all just conversation. And so when it goes like this and it's so deep and so it just feels like, wow, what an amazing brain you have that you can just I couldn't come to a conversation like this without my notes. Are you kidding? And so even when we would have Starbucks conversations, I always had a little bit of notes so I knew what I was asking and what I wanted to know. So I love it. You're the best. So do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with our amazing and wonderful audience who is here seeking truth?
Yes. In my opinion, you would be well served to prioritize and seek the highest levels of truth you can find in any and all situations, and let go of opinions and question most facts until you get to the truthiest perspective you can find regarding anything. And if you do that, you will be able to navigate life extremely well in all areas. You'll be able to create the body you want, the money you want, the health you want, the relationships you want, the connections you want, the family you want, because all the people who have those things created them based off strong foundations and the truest universal laws they could find, whether you realize it or not, whether they realize it or not. And if you try to get those things with half-assed opinions and weak facts and very little truthiness in your approach, you're going to create a mess. You won't get what you want. Your dreams will suck, and it'll be your own fault because you did not seek truthiness and a strong foundation for the reality you want to create. So please, I prioritize truth pretty highly. So does Tom Bilyeu. So did Socrates. So did Jesus. And I hope you do too. And that might mean changing a lot of different perspectives you've had in the past, because we've all believed many, many, many false things that weren't very truthy at all. But you can do it bit by bit, and it will feel fulfilling every time you do. So you got this. I believe it.
And that's why our book and this podcast are called Eyes Wide Open. After today, you will know the difference between your opinions and facts, and you will love it and embrace it. That's the dream, though. So now you could go watch this video here called Reality Denial, Mental Health, and You, to help you see reality more clearly and to help you keep your eyes wide open.
Keep rising.